And welcome back in to the second episode of the Eastside Fantasy Football Podcast. Joe, it is Saturday, September 3rd. We have our draft later today. And guess what? We made it past the first episode. We did not get canceled after one show. How are you feeling after launching our first podcast episode?
I'm feeling great. I just wanted to shout out everybody that kind of listened into the first one. Got a few friends, family that kind of reached out. Let us know that they listened, followed. Really appreciate all of that. So glad to make it to the second episode.
Absolutely. And like I said, I believe the majority of drafts are probably happening this weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot spot for drafts this weekend and Labor Day especially as well.
Absolutely. Thursday, this next upcoming Thursday, we have our opener, Bills-Rams. We'll preview that on Tuesday's show. But for now, today, what we have lined up for you, we got our quarterbacks, tight end rankings. We also have a mock draft, and we'll also hit the question of the day, along with a little surprise segment I have for Joe, talking about ADP.
I'm very excited for that because I still do not know what it is.
Yeah, something I put together last night. It should be a good laugh, and we'll also introduce you to our league this week. But right now, you want to get into the news.
Let's do it.
All right, first thing, Marlon Mack was let go by the Texans. They did bring him back to the practice squad. This just,
Dameon Pierce.
If it wasn't already, the secret was already out, but now it's full go.
You talked about him in the first episode, too, so that's funny. Our very first episode, and then Marlon Mack gets let go by the Texans like the day after.
Yeah.
So, all signs pointing up for Dameon Pierce. He's been rising on draft boards throughout the offseason, and this just skyrockets him even more.
Yeah, I would. My one thing is now, it depends on what league you're in, how much people pay attention. I still don't want to take him too early because remember, it is the Texans. As much as someone doesn't want to hear it, I think someone like Josh Jacobs is a good comp there. I'm not taking Dameon Pierce ahead of Josh Jacobs, but obviously the hype's way more on him. But Dameon Pierce seems to be full go, man.
Speaking of Josh Jacobs, who's someone who we thought was going to be his backup, Kenyon Drake, was let go by the Raiders and recently signed with the Baltimore Ravens. So I don't know. You're the Ravens guy. I don't know. I don't personally think that has too much to do with J.K. Dobbins. I know that that's still up in the air about week 1 for J.K., but I honestly think this Kenyon Drake signing has more to do with Gus Edwards than J.K. Dobbins. What are your thoughts on that? I think that this is kind of more of a backup type role that Kenyon Drake could be filling in while Gus Edwards is still not 100%. What are your opinions on that?
Yeah, so I know two things. Kenyon Drake's wearing number 17, and purple is his new favorite color. He said that on his Twitter page.
Oh, my goodness.
Go give it a look. No, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm worried about J.K. Dobbins, not as the player, but I'm kind of fading him a little bit in fantasy now. Gus Edwards is so unique. He's not going to catch passes. He is literally give him the ball and let him go straight. Kenyon Drake's a pass catcher, and I kind of feel is more like J.K. Dobbins' style. They also have Mike Davis back there. Like,
They got a lot of names in the backfield.
Yeah.
Very similar to last year.
And by the way, nobody in the Baltimore offense who's a running back catches the football. Not that they can't. That's just not what that offense does.
Yeah, not at all.
So I'm going to be honest. I was thinking J.K. Dobbins was a great value for me. Someone I was drafting as my RB2 if I went wide receiver in those kind of 2 to 4 rounds. Now, I don't know. The Kenyon Drake was not what I wanted to see.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, that's for sure.
Let's go to Jimmy Garoppolo. Everybody thought he was going to get traded, cut. Now, the 49ers save a ton of money because he's going to make around in the middle $20 million. But he comes back now on a 1-year, $7 million contract. Are you concerned about Trey Lance in the slightest because of this deal or no?
Quick question. Can you think of anybody more handsome in the quarterback position in the NFL other than Jimmy G? Like, honest question.
Yeah, Tom Brady.
You think Tom Brady's more handsome?
Yeah.
Jimmy G was his backup for a long time, too, so...
where do you think he got it from?
And he steals the most handsome in the league.
Where do you think he got it from?
Yeah, but fantasy perspective, I'm not worried about Trey Lance. We'll get into Trey Lance a little bit more. I'm not necessarily worried, but I do think that in the off chance that, like, they're not, like, because they say they're 100% in on Trey Lance, but with keeping Jimmy G, all that does is that puts, I feel like it has to put slight little whispers in Trey Lance's head that, like, if we start off, I mean, this would be crazy, but if they, I know they're playing like the Bears week 1, but if they start off 0-3, let's say, there's definitely going to be some chatter around San Francisco wanting Jimmy G back when they just went to the NFC Championship with Jimmy G. So fantasy-wise, I still think obviously Trey Lance with his rushing ability is huge, way higher than Jimmy Garoppolo from a fantasy perspective. But from an NFL standpoint, I think it's a little worrisome if they start to struggle early.
Yeah, I think I'm still taking Trey Lance in like rounds 9, 10, 11, wherever he falls, depending on that.
I'm still drafting him for sure, but
I mean, it's not like it didn't help anything. I'll say that. I don't think it hurts as much as someone might think, but it definitely doesn't help. And then the last two pieces of news, really not a ton of fantasy. Just thought it was interesting. Trey Sermon, who this idiot right here drafted. I don't know when I drafted him, but I definitely drafted him.
He was a third-round pick.
Yeah, he was a day 2 pick for a very good running team in the 49ers, and this clown right here took him last year. I thought, this guy, why did nobody want him?
Kyle guess what? Pooped on him.
Guess what? He's gone. They cut him after 1 year, and I believe the Eagles claimed him.
Yeah, they did. It was the Eagles.
So, I mean, I don't think he has any value, but
does anything either.
No, I just thought I wanted to bring up Trey Sermon, the legend that I drafted, and I was big on it. I was telling everyone they're idiots for missing on this guy. Little did I know, Elijah Mitchell was pretty much telling him to get the hell out of there.
Well, Elijah Mitchell was a 6th-rounder. Trey Sermon was a 3rd-rounder. And this next guy, Alex Leatherwood, was a 1st-rounder.
Yeah. I remember watching the draft.
Alex Leatherwood,
I don't know if you remember,
cut by the Raiders.
I don't know if you remember that draft, but the song they played at every break was I think it was How You Like Me Now, or it was something that was like they just had the same song playing over and over again. And I remember them going to commercial break all the time with this. And I remember Alex Leatherwood, I have the distinct memory of them being the analysts on ESPN going, I think it was a bit of a stretch here for Vegas. And apparently it was. So his coach is gone, and the GM is going to draft him. This is mind-boggling to me. He was a first-round pick, I believe 17, somewhere in the middle teens.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle.
Essentially not costing them anything to keep him. And he gets cut after 1 year, a first-round pick.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't like, I don't have too much to say because it's offensive lineman, so obviously I don't follow offensive line that much, but I can recall, because I had a few shares with Josh Jacobs last year, just seeing Alex Leatherwood be like, he stuck out like a sore thumb, especially in pass blocking, where guys are just getting by him and getting to the quarterback with ease. So, like I said, I don't know that much about offensive line, but he definitely, it's shocking to see when watching him that he was a first-round pick, but he's gone now.
Well, he was not doing a lot of step punch, step punch, step punch.
Step punch, step punch.
But if anyone's interested, he is now a Chicago Bear. So
yes,
that's where he belongs, with the Chicago Bears. That's the news. Do you want to get into quarterbacks and tight end ranking?
Let's get into it. So just for the record here, we're going to be talking about 4-point touchdown quarterback rankings and obviously PPR tight end rankings. We're going to go through our top 12 of both of these here, talk about a couple that are outside the top 12 that we like. And yeah, let's get into it.
What do you want to start? Quarterbacks?
Yeah, let's start quarterbacks. I can get it going.
Go ahead.
Let's go tier 1. We'll do tier rankings as well, just like we did with our running backs and wide receivers. My tier 1 quarterbacks, starting out Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills, Justin Herbert, number 2, Patrick Mahomes coming in at 3 to round out my tier 1. Josh Allen been the number 1 quarterback last year. Justin Herbert was the number 2 quarterback last year, actually. And I don't see that being any different. And barring injury, I think Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, obviously Patrick Mahomes is also in a highly passing offense, but I just think those two with the weapons that they have, it's unlikely for them to not be 1-2. What's your opinion?
Yeah, so I have the same top 2, Allen and Herbert, and even my third person is the same Mahomes, but I actually have them separated. I have Mahomes in a second tier. First tier for me is just Allen and Herbert, and it's basically kind of formatted on Josh Allen throwing to Stephon Diggs. Mm-hmm. Justin Herbert is throwing to Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Patrick Mahomes throwing to over 30-year-old Travis Kelce. And then there's Juju, there's MVS. There's just a mix of other guys. Sky Moore. You lose Tyreek Hill. I mean, we'll see what he looks like in Miami. That's like a big, like, what's it going to look like? By the way, he said the most accurate deep ball I've ever seen.
Yeah, oh my
Tyreek
God.
said
He's been
Tua,
having a
and then
lot of crazy quotes.
ESPN put out Tua first play of the game to Tyreek. The ball was underthrown. Anyone could
Yeah,
see
by like
that.
5 yards. He
It
had to
was
come back and
underthrown to
like
Tyreek.
slide to catch it.
Yeah. So whatever. But I just think Mahomes, obviously still a great fantasy option. I just think these two guys, Allen and Herbert, are ahead, not only because they have more consistent wide receiver play with more, they have a history with those guys. Those are not first year wide receivers coming in. Also, I think those two get more on the ground as far as touchdown equity and yards. Mahomes, he moves, but just not like those other two. I can go to the second tier. Let me start
Sure.
that. So
Yep.
second tier, I have Mahomes at 3, Kyler at 4, Lamar Jackson 5, Jalen Hurts at 6, and Russell Wilson at 7. Looks like we're kind of the exact same with everything except for Kyler and Lamar. We have flip flopped.
Yeah.
Not a lot to say about these guys. I will say in drafts, I don't think I'll own Josh Allen, Herbert, Mahomes, Murray, Jackson, or even Hurts in any of these leagues unless I make a trade for him. I just, how when you're
I
more of an advanced fantasy player, you're going to be drafting quarterbacks later rather than early. But go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I could see myself getting in like that Lamar through Jalen range, just because they're usually in like the at a stretch like the late fifth and at a bargain like the late sixth. You
Sure.
might maybe like Jalen sneaks to the start of the seventh, but that's probably not gonna happen. But so yeah, my rankings. I'll just say my rankings real quick for the tier two. I actually go Lamar 4, Kyler, Jalen Hurts at 6, Russell Wilson 7, and then for tier two, I sneak Tom Brady in. I mean, I still believe in him. I mean, I know that we bashed him a little bit when we were talking about that he's not the number one player in the NFL, which I still stand by that. But he's coming in number 8 on my rankings here. I think I have Lamar 4 over Kyler and Jalen because I just think that the MVP Lamar is there. And I know it's kind of been missing a little
Playing
bit.
for a contract.
Yeah, and that's huge too. That's a great point because I think that is there. It's been missing. He's kind of been MIA a little bit in like that top 3 quarterback range that I think he should be in because he's the best running quarterback in the entire NFL. And so I'm believing in Lamar Jackson this year. Barring injury like last year, I think he should be in the top 5. And yeah, I love Russell this year as well. I think that's a quarterback that I could see myself drafting a lot this year because
I think I'm leaving a lot of drafts with Russell Wilson.
He's like just around that like
great stack option too.
Oh
cheap stack option compared to like if you're trying to get Allen and Diggs
with Cortland or Judy. I agree with that. I think that's
a great
stack opportunity or Albert O. Little KJ Hamler. You never know. But so then yeah, Tom Brady coming in at 8. I know Chris Godwin's hurt, but I mean he has so many names.
They got weapons down there.
There's so many names there that he could throw the ball to. Mike Evans, Russell Gage,
Julio.
Julio. And yeah, Chris Godwin coming back. Who knows? Maybe Gronk will come back. Doubt it though. But
we can step the Lions.
Yeah, exactly. We can step into tier 3 here. So coming in number 9 for me is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow here. Dak Prescott at 10, 11. Aaron Rodgers. Coming in, wrapping up my QB1s is Trey Lance. We talked about Trey Lance a little bit earlier. I still believe in him. I know that at the 12 spot, it's kind of low for a lot of analysts that like and the other podcasts that I check out. A lot of them have Trey Lance honestly in like that 8, even probably like 7 to 10 range. I would say is what I see a lot of it. You got to think he played a little bit last year, but he's basically in his rookie season. So that's what I take him way back. I leave him in the QB1 range, but I am reserving like keeping him down towards the end that it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be some bumps. There's going to be some learning curves. I don't know how much I love him as just a pure passer, but obviously that's not why he's in the top 12. If you want to read your tier 3.
Yeah, you didn't even finish up on yours. You also had Stafford and Cousins in that 3rd tier.
Yeah, I didn't finish those just because that was 13, 14. I know we wanted to focus on the top 12, but yeah, Stafford and Cousins. I'm a huge Kirk Cousins guy this year. 14 is kind of the floor, if I'm going to be completely honest, what I think of Kirk Cousins this year. I mean, just with Kevin O'Connell, the hype is real with the Vikings offense. I shot in the dark. I like the Vikings to win. I like the Vikings to win the division. I think the Packers, I don't know. It's hard to root against Aaron Rodgers.
It's funny you say
Aaron
that.
Rodgers, but I just like that. I know they're plus money as well. Like, it's a good little.
No, yeah, little side shit. It's funny you said that. I don't know if you remember this, but I believe 4 years ago at this point, a freshman Nick Testoni and a sophomore Joe Briner, who were running the East Side Arc Boys, I believe the quote, we both believed in the Vikings so much. You said, the Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl this year. And we wrote it down on a piece of paper and hang it up on Jackson's window. Boy, did that go to shit
that didn't
real
happen.
Quick. No, I don't even know if they made the playoffs that year.
So maybe that's a dumb call, but who knows?
Hey, different team.
Yeah, exactly.
Different team. There's no Kellen Mond. He's out. We've seen enough of him, I believe.
No kidding.
All right, so